The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I'd like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Cambium Networks. Today's hosts are Chetan Habale, Senior Director of Product Management, and Trevor Miranda, Cambium Fellow. Each one will be presenting. I believe we'll be starting with Chetan, and then at the end of the presentation, we will answer questions. Chetan and Trevor, I am finished for now. You can take over. The floor is now yours.
Thank you, Julie. Hi, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending on your time zone. Thanks for making time on our webinar today. Recognizing that for many of you, Cambium Networks might be a new entity, we just want to give you a quick overview, not just of our Wi-Fi portfolio, but who Cambium is and a larger picture of that. And then we want to give you a little bit of idea of what we've been up to on the Wi-Fi side. And then we'll end this webinar with a brief overview of our features. And Trevor Miranda, my senior colleague here, will be presenting some of those feature overviews. So with that said, we want to get started with just a quick overview of who Cambium is. Cambium Networks, as a company, we have over 3,000 channel partners. We've shipped over 7 million radios to date in over 150 countries. And for any of you that are new to Cambium, we are a spin-off of Motorola. We've been Cambium as a separate entity for the last 6 years. And in those 6 years, we've expanded around the world. We're present in every continent. And we have literally a presence in almost every major territory, like this map shows here. As a company, our products can really be categorized into 3 categories. We have a long-distance point-to-point offering. We have point-to-multipoint or fixed wireless, which brings you last-mile access, or the kind of point-to-point links that you could use for connecting enterprise buildings. And then in the last 15 months to 18 months, we've added a third component, which is Wi-Fi. So we like to think of this as our wireless fabric. We have Wi-Fi for the homes, for ISPs to put Wi-Fi routers inside homes and manage them. We have Wi-Fi for enterprises, public hotspots, and the industrial Internet of Things. And of course, our Wi-Fi portfolio not only works seamlessly with our point-to-point and point-to-multipoint backhaul, but also with our with any kind of fiber or Ethernet based wiring as well. Now, one of the unique things about Cambium, as compared to many companies that offer both a wireless backhaul as well as Wi-Fi, is that we have a single pane of glass from which we manage our entire portfolio. And that single pane of glass for our management and controller is CN Maestro. CN Maestro orchestrates the entire management and controls network for all of our products. And in this presentation, we'll focus a little bit more on Wi-Fi with a brief overview of CN Maestro. And we call our wireless fabric the 2 meter to 245 kilometer wireless solution because what we have demonstrated is that we've run one of the longest links in the world, which is a 245 kilometer link in the mountains of Colorado and Wyoming, and carried simultaneous HD voice and HD video on those links, proving that wireless has come of age and is a very effective alternate to fiber, where it's either cumbersome to use fiber or as a complement to fiber installations. On our Wi-Fi side itself, we have a good collection of indoor and outdoor access points. Our indoor access points are 802.11 AC, Wave 1 and Wave 2. On the Wave 2 product, we've recently launched the E410, the E600, and this November we'll be coming out with our hospitality wall plate access point, the 802.11 AC Wave 2 product. On our outdoor portfolio, have all integrated outdoor portfolio with the E500, which provides omnidirectional access. The E501S, which provides 120-degree sector integrated access, so that gives you a higher gain than the Omni, so you get better coverage. And then we have a 30-degree sector as well. That's just going to be launched in the next couple of weeks. What the 30-degree sector gives that the 120 and the E500 cannot is a much more narrower angle of coverage. So you could use this for very high density deployments like in stadiums, or if you have a enterprise deployment with a very high density of people converging, for example, at an event, you could use the E502S. All of our outdoor portfolio is IP67 rated, and we use industrial grade components in them to ensure robustness, while at the same time ensuring that we focus on one of our key attributes, which is affordable quality. Now, all of our indoor and outdoor access points are managed by our CN Maestro controller. Our controller is available in the cloud, as well as on-premises as a virtual software. And we also have added a third option, which we call Autopilot. Autopilot allows you to manage small networks. So if you've heard previously of other options in the market, such as Ruckus Unleashed or Aruba Instant, Autopilot is Cambium's way of turning a controller into a Wi-Fi, turning a Wi-Fi access point into a controller. Now, the way, one of the things that we fit in the market is basically you have two offerings in the market. One is from very well-known brand name vendors with lots of features, but also comes with expensive licenses, lots of line items and licenses, no freemium offering. At the other end of the spectrum are entry-level access points that work well when you get started, but have questionable performance and cannot scale. What we're filling in the gap here is bringing in affordable, high-quality access points. We have a freemium offering. Our controller is easy to get started. It's free in the cloud, or it's available for free as a downloadable software. And then in the course of the next 3 to 4 months, we're also introducing premium features, which we will have a license for, but there is nothing mandatory about it. And you can scale as you grow, and you can pay as you grow. One of the other things we'll talk about in this webinar is going beyond products, the friendliness of our channel partner program, and its general recognition for Cambium being a channel-driven company. Now, one of the key things with our Wi-Fi is we're really focused on 3 fundamental attributes: fast operation, a very adaptive, flexible architecture, and then even as we bring in cutting-edge features, keeping a focus on affordability without sacrificing quality. So we call all of these 3 attributes put together as frictionless Wi-Fi or friction-free Wi-Fi. On the adaptive side, on the fast operation side, with a combination of the cloud and features like zero-touch provisioning, it's very easy to get started getting these access points online and into service. They scale pretty well. With the cloud, you have unlimited scalability fundamentally. And our access points support both local breakout or tunneling. So all of that together is what we call our freedom option. On the other hand, we recognize that not everybody loves or wants the cloud, that there are still many architectures out there that have a need for a local controller. And in that case, we offer what we call the full control option. You can download CN Maestro as a controller that can run on any general purpose server or gateway. And then you can tunnel the traffic to CN Maestro like in a traditional Wi-Fi or WLAN deployment, or you can do a local breakout. And then of course, the third option is Autopilot, in which case you don't need a separate piece of software, either in the cloud or locally. And for very small deployments, it's the perfect solution where you just take an AP and convert that into a controller. And in keeping with our focus on affordable quality, there are no license fees associated with Autopilot. It's free to get started, and it's as straightforward as just changing your mode of operation. On the management side, CN Maestro is really our end-to-end wireless fabric management, managing all of Cambium's products. But on the Wi-Fi side, basically gives you everything that you expect from a full-featured Wi-Fi controller. You have hierarchical management when you organize a Wi-Fi backhaul with wireless backhaul. Or you get all of the other benefits such as inventory management, a dashboard to look at all of the information. At the top right corner here, you'll see things like alarms with the notions of critical, major, and minor alarms, and an automatic ability to dismiss those alarms as well. In terms of configuration and onboarding, we offer templates as well as GUI-based configuration. And you'll have the ability to group APs by WLAN groups or AP groups. And then on top of all of the management capabilities of a full-featured controller, CN Maestro also offers our customers service features. For example, hotspot hosting and guest access. And then beyond these things, coming up soon on the premium side of CN Maestro, we'll very shortly be offering APIs, reports, and role-based access. So what you see here is we're bridging that gap that we feel exists in the market that our customers have told us about, which is a need for something that's very affordable, very small business friendly, very easy for VARs and system integrators to get started and scale their business, and architecture scales as our customers will grow. In terms of our hospitality features, we offer fully customizable portals with the ability to set rate, time, and quota limits, support for social login. Today we support Facebook and Google with plans to support Twitter, and we support credit card payments as well. So if you're in a deployment, for example, in a cafe or a hotel, where you'd like to offer vouchers, guest access, and be able to charge for Wi-Fi access, we offer all of those options as well. And with our ability to support social login, we also offer analytics, where you can export the data that you gather from the publicly available social login records and use that for your marketing as well. But where we essentially differentiate ourselves from a lot of the other offerings in the market is not only do we have the convenience of built-in features, but we're open-ended as well. We recognize that people have different needs in terms of the maturity of their hotspot services and backend portals and splash pages. So we have a number of other partners that we have interoperated with that we recommend if people want much more full-featured and robust splash page and hosting portals, such as Purple Wi-Fi or Cloud4V or Encapto. And we've got a few more things as well. And very shortly, we'll be announcing all of these partners on our Cambium webpage as well. Now, one thing is that in the last 18 months, we've spent time around the world proving out our capabilities across multiple verticals. One thing that I'd like to highlight that kind of speaks to the ability of this product line to handle high capacity and interference is that recently, last year, we hosted an InfoGamer show in Croatia. This is a contest with lots of young people coming in there with their iPads and mobile phones and playing video contests against each other. As you can imagine, in such a high density place, and this place had over 70,000 visitors visiting it in 5 days, there's a lot of noise, a lot of interference, and a very high density and collection of clients with a very high bar on system availability. And CN Pilot proved that it could handle that capability. And with our combination of indoor and outdoor APs, we were able to serve the 70,000 visitors over 5 days and many of the gaming contests that happened over Wi-Fi, making sure that Wi-Fi was not adding to the latency and the speeds were lightning fast. And this year, in recognition of that, we've been invited once again to come in and offer Wi-Fi at this show. And so we'll be here this year again at the InfoGamer show in Croatia, which is expected to grow bigger and wider this year compared to last year. Beyond that, we have deployments in universities. In the US, we're deployed at Plymouth School District in Wisconsin, in over 5 schools in the school district. We have many university deployments in India and United Kingdom. In hospitality, one of our niches is connecting resorts and hard-to-reach places, where we offer both traditional indoor Wi-Fi, but also have the ability to bring in wireless backhaul that can connect different buildings inside a hospitality, or long-distance wireless to bring in the basic internet backbone to the hospitality deployment. We already covered events. The other place where we're seeing a lot of growth is also in retail, where we've got retail deployments in Canada, where our Wi-Fi is used to bring in digital signage inside the shop, as well as use VLAN segmentation and SSID segmentation to serve both employees and customers inside retail deployments. One of our biggest achievements in the last 1 year has really been in the domain of public Wi-Fi. Cambium as a company, our motto is to connect the unconnected. And there is an estimate that there are about 4 billion people around the world who don't have internet access. And in the country of Colombia in Latin America, we are one of 3 vendors selected to bring internet to over 1,000 hotspots. Working with some of the big social media companies here in Silicon Valley, we've also partnered to help them bring internet access to hard-to-reach places around the world. And in those places, we are one of the first vendors that is now implementing cost-effective Wi-Fi in places like India, Indonesia, Nigeria, Kenya, and South Africa. So hopefully that gives you guys a taste of the proven nature of the product. We kind of rounded out that capability earlier in a couple of months ago when we won the Best SMB Wi-Fi Award at the SMB Tech Fest here in Anaheim, California. Now, going beyond products, we have one of the best recognized channel programs. We recognize that one of the ways we can reach our customers effectively is by having VARs and system integrators really champion our products. And so we recognize them with one of what we believe is one of the highest margins in the industry. And of course, we have tiered programs and special discount structures depending on large volume purchases. And I encourage you to contact Microcom if you've got more questions on this. So that really completes out kind of the introduction and the overall capability. I'd like to now hand off to Trevor Miranda. Trevor is our Cambium Fellow. He's also one of the chief architects of our Wi-Fi program. And I'd like Trevor to give us all a feature tour, if you will, and a taste of some of the features on the platform. Recognizing that we don't have a time to do a full-fledged show here, but that will give you a taste of the features we have. And for more details, we encourage you to join Microcom's training program. Trevor?
Thanks, Chetan. So I'll briefly highlight some of our key features and give you a brief description of some enterprise features that we have. One thing to keep in mind, as Chetan mentioned earlier, that our access points are standalone, fully independent devices. What this means is that they do not need an always-on connection to the controller, CN Maestro, in order to perform their full functions. So things like radius or roaming, all of these function regardless of whether your connectivity to the controller, which may be cloud hosted or on-premises hosted, is on or not. So for instance, we let you do fast roaming between clients without having a controller in the mix. So up to a certain level, say 2,000 clients, the APs can talk among themselves, coordinate this roaming functionality, and let clients do fast roaming locally. So this also helps you reduce the traffic or bandwidth usage when you have a remotely hosted controller. I'll next go into a little bit more detail on some of our enterprise features, including troubleshooting, as well as our RF optimization features. The first one you see here on the top left is band steering. So our APs are dual band devices. They're dual band concurrent, which means at all times both the 5 GHz and 2.4 GHz radio can function and bridge traffic. As you probably know, the 2.4 GHz spectrum is quite busy with only 3 independent channels in most countries, while the 5 GHz spectrum not only has a lot more channels, thus providing you the opportunity to select a channel that is clean with very little noise and interference, but also you can run 11 AC on 5 GHz, run much wider channels. However, clients don't always make the best decision as to which radio to connect to. So we have this feature called band steering, which directs a client to the correct radio. In other words, if a client is dual band, we enforce the requirement that it connects on 5 GHz, while the single band devices get to use the 2.4 GHz spectrum. So this ensures that only those devices that actually need 2.4 are directed to that radio, while the higher performing 5 GHz clients get to make full use of a bandwidth. The next feature related to channel selection. Now, you might set a channel on your AP and it might work fine at the time of installation, but RF is a very dynamic environment. A channel that may be good today and noise-free today might change when, say, a neighbor installs another access point using the same channel, or say there are sources of interference like microwaves or baby monitors installed. So CN Pilot dynamically changes the channel when it detects interference. And this is all done in an automated manner and independently by the APs themselves. So as soon as interference is detected, as soon as we detect that there is noise on a channel, we are able to switch to one that is better performing. Next, please. A third feature is airtime fairness. Now, as you know, you can't really control what kind of devices connect to your wireless LAN in most environments, unless it's a very rigidly enforced corporate environment. So you have a mix of clients supporting the latest 11AC standards. You have older 11N clients, and in some cases, even 11BG clients. Now, when you have a mix of both of these clients, what happens is that the slower clients, the 11BGN clients, obviously do not support the latest data rates. They connect at slower data rates and use up more airtime for the same amount of data. So you might have, say, a 11B client using up around half of your airtime while only getting 2, 3, 4 Mbps of throughput, while the other clients are forced to contend with the rest of the airtimes. So instead, what we do is, instead of fairly allocating throughput, we fairly allocate airtime. So all clients have an equal opportunity to transmit. So in 1 unit of time, the slower client might only transmit 1 packet, but the faster client is able to make use of 11AC data speeds, and in that same amount of time transmit more packets, thus getting better performance. What this does is increase the overall throughput of your network in cases where you have clients which only support older standards or are only able to connect at lower data rates. This is another way in which we optimize network performance. Finally, a fourth feature I'd like to talk about is dynamic power adjustments. When you install APs in a planned manner, usually the way you design your network is that they have overlapping coverage. So just like as in a cellular network, you have cells which overlap at the edges, the same is true in a Wi-Fi network. In such a network, our APs optimize the power output so that there is minimal overlap, while at the same time covering the entire area at an adequate transmit power level. Now, what happens when an AP for some reason is disconnected or dies for some reason? Well, the other APs detect this because they're no longer able to see the AP on air and dynamically increase the power level so that the hole that was created is covered, and you once again have complete coverage in that particular area. And this again is done automatically by the APs, does not require user intervention. So this is a brief glance at some of the enterprise features that we have on all our APs. Next, I'd like to talk a little bit about our troubleshooting features, because to many folks providing value-added services that maintain their clients' networks, it is important to be able to efficiently troubleshoot problems when they arise. As Chetan mentioned earlier, CN Maestro is our one point of management for all our wireless products. And this especially comes into play when you have a wireless backhaul, while at the same time, we offer all these features regardless of whether you have a fiber backhaul or a wireless one. And all these features are available regardless of whether you use the cloud-hosted version of CN Maestro or you choose to use the locally on-premises version of CN Maestro. The first screen you see here at the top is a broad look of what your entire network looks like. On the left-hand side, you see the wireless backhaul. On the right-hand side, you see not only the E500, but also a brief summary of what things look like on-site in terms of wireless clients. So you can quickly figure out whether the problem lies at the client side, somewhere in the middle in your backhaul. And of course, if you had a wired backhaul or fiber, you would see the right-hand half of that screen with the E500 connected to its wired uplink. Down below, you see a table with a few columns. The first one is client health. You see a list of clients connected there, so that when somebody calls you up and says, for instance, my Motorola laptop is not able to, my Motorola phone is not able to connect to the network or has very low throughput, you simply look at the manufacturer screen and you look up the Motorola device, and you can quickly see, does it have an IP address? If so, what is it? What is the SNR or RSSI? Maybe they're moved far away from the AP. Maybe the channel right now has a lot of interference. So you can quickly get all this information about the client device without having to ask the user to look it up on their laptop, which might be a very time-consuming and frustrating experience, especially if the user reporting the problem is not technically inclined. Instead, we have all this information available right here, and you can look this up remotely from anywhere, from your phone or your tablet. You don't need to be at your office at your laptop in order to look this up, since this is cloud hosted. In other features, we have an unconnected clients table, which lets you quickly see issues like clients configured with the wrong password or clients with a static IP address. And again, you can do this without having to log on to the client device. We have a Wi-Fi analyzer. You can remotely look up what the RF environment on site looks like. You can see what are the other APs installed there that can be seen by this particular AP. What is the noise and interference level on each channel? So you can run all this from CN Maestro itself. Should you choose to use them, we also have more advanced troubleshooting features. For instance, you can run network connectivity tests right from here. You don't need to ask the end user to run ping, traceroute, or DNS. All this can be done from triggered from CN Maestro and run through the AP remotely. Finally, if you really like to dig deep down, maybe it's a particularly tricky issue that requires you to look at individual packets, you can run a packet capture triggered from CN Maestro. You no longer have to send somebody on site with a laptop to capture packets over the air. You can do all this from here. And as you know, an on-site visit is quite expensive, both in terms of time spent as well as the cost of doing it in monetary terms. So all these troubleshooting tools make it really easy for you to maintain a network remotely through CN Maestro. So I hope that brief look at some of the features was useful to you. We, of course, have a lot more features than I talked about here, but in the interest of time, I focused on a few of these highlights. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor.
Over to you.
Thanks for that brief feature tour, Trevor. So as you can see, we're continuously adding new features literally every quarter. And for some of you who are already familiar with CN Pilot, we've demonstrated its capabilities pretty much in every continent. in the last 18 months. And for those of you who want to get a more deeper training into CN Maestro, we encourage you to join one of Microcom's training sessions. And Julie, this might be a good time to see if there are any questions.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Chetan and Trevor, for that wonderful presentation. Very, very interesting. And I do have some questions for you. I'm going to start off with the first one here. First question from an audience member says, are you working on any mesh units?
Good question. So in the interest of time, we really left a lot of the other good features out of it. We just picked a sample here, and mesh would be one of those features. We support mesh today. We mesh across, not just across outdoor, but we can also mesh across our indoor and outdoor Wi-Fi platforms as well. So a case where that might be useful is, imagine you have a coffee shop or a hotel deployment where you've got fiber running inside the building, but you want to just cover that extra swimming pool area or a little bit of the patio area, in which case you can, if there's good RF connectivity, you can mesh between our indoor and outdoor units as well. And so we do support mesh. And alternatively, as you know, mesh sometimes, just by the very nature of the mesh design, the throughput falls as you go through multi-hops. So while we do support multi-hop mesh, Cambium also offers an alternative in dedicated point-to-point backhaul as well, which gives you much higher level of performance with much higher guarantees in wireless performance.
And Chetan, if I may add a brief point to that, you don't need a separate SKU or a separate firmware version to run mesh. Mesh is supported on all our regular APs, and you can either convert a radio to either use it as a dedicated mesh point, or you can have the single radio do both mesh while at that same time having a different SSID servicing normal wireless clients.
Yeah, good point, Trevor.
Thank you very much, Chetan and Trevor. I got another question here for you. It says here, how many SSID can pair to each outdoor 801.11 AC devices?
I'm not sure I understood the question, but let me repeat it and see if that makes sense. Basically, each of our access points supports up to 16 SSIDs. And then if you look at the number of clients that can connect as a whole across the entire access point, we support up to 256 clients across both 2.4 and 5 gigahertz radios. We don't necessarily impose a per SSID limit on a client. The limit is really dictated by the capacity of the radio. So theoretically, you could have one SSID taking all 256 clients across 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Or if you had multiple SSIDs, you could rate limit it or limit the number of clients per SSID.
Thank you, Chetan, for that very, very much. Next question for you. Are there monthly fees for splash pages and guest access?
There are no monthly fees. So we, in our current version, and this will always be there, we support up to 4 splash pages per account. So you can host up to four different kind of splash pages, and they're really easy to set up and get started. We offer ready-made templates, and all of this will be addressed in the training, where we'll show you how easy it is to set up these splash pages and associate guests with those splash pages. Now in the premium version, we'll offer the ability to go beyond 4 splash pages per account. So you have a choice in whether you want to go free or go with a paid version in the future. But there will, just to clarify, there will always be a free version of the management, and that free version is limited to 4 splash pages per login account.
Thank you very much for that. We have an audience member who chimed in and said congratulations on the award that you showed regarding that show that where you guys were being featured. So congratulations on that award. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Looks like we have another question here. You're welcome. Do you offer built-in spectrum analyzers to the APs?
Yeah, so
yes, we do. Trevor, do you want to add some more?
Yeah, so what you can run on the APs today is a scan of all the channels, and per channel it will show you what is the noise floor on that particular channel, as well as the interference level from other wireless sources on that particular channel. It will also give you a list of all the SSIDs that it detects that are being transmitted from other devices, and at what signal level each of these SSIDs is detected at.
Thank you very much for answering those questions, Chetan and Trevor. Appreciate it so very much. And I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact your sales rep, or you can email us at sales@microcomtech.com. If you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. And please remember, this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel, so you can view it again whenever you'd like to on YouTube. Thank you again, Chetan and Trevor. Everybody have a fantastic day. Appreciate your time and all the incredible information you shared with us today.
Thank you, Julie, and thank you, everyone.
You're welcome.
To give that information out.